A sentiment I've seen when people try to inject logic or perspective into discourse during moral panic. Can you be more sensitive? Have a heart. In a perpetual state of outrage and fear, one should expect turbulence as attempts are made to descend from the stratosphere. So, we've been seeing a lot of moral panic throughout the past few years. Since 2015, 2016, there's been this sort of paradigm shift in the way that the culture war has gone. With President Trump winning the election, and then you have Brexit, and sort of other right-wing leaders coming into power across the world, people are moving a little bit away culturally. And it may not seem like this to some if they're in an echo chamber, but they're moving a little bit away from the social justice, this sort of identitarianism. May it be, far right, far left, however you want to label it. People are kind of moving away from politically correct standards in nature. Now, our authority figures may or may not like that that's happening because those are really useful for controlling people. Yeah, it makes it harder to control people when you can't tell them what to do, what to say, and to move them around and socially engineer things so that you're put into this very limited, narrow pathway, this very limited, narrow Overton window in which people can't really live their lives without following government regulations. May they be about the illusion of hate speech, or they may be about some other politically correct system. And of course they have, now we're seeing people deplatformed before they even get started. On Instagram, Ice Bay got deplatformed, the Miss Michigan, and all these different people are being mistreated, discriminated against based on what's in their heads, their ideology. And usually it's a mundane ideology at that. That's why we need an Internet Bill of Rights to make sure that people are not being treated like they just belong to these large groups and they say something that may be factual and then get kicked off because it offends the prophets and popes of the modern religion of censorship or any of the other sort of real-world moralistic ideologies that we've become very familiar with in recent times. So people will try to sort of, assess the situation, inject some logic and perspective in there, and they'll get hit with, can you be more sensitive? Well, I'm telling the truth. I'm trying to find, the uncomfortable, the sad truth about what's going on here. We have to ask some questions, some tough ones. Are you willing? No. Can you be more sensitive? You're not virtue signaling enough. Well, look, I'm trying to solve something here. I have to ask some difficult questions in order to do so. What am I going to do? I'm trying to give another side to it. People are becoming distressed. We have a moral panic. We have outrage culture, outrage on every corner. There's so much outrage out there, and people will say, oh, you're getting outraged over outrage. And I say, it's outrage all the way down. It's outrage all the way down. It's a constant swell of people critiquing this and exploding over that. When people come in to say there's too much going on, it's like, well, yeah, there is. There's no question about it. There is a culture of people that are they don't have anything else in their lives to give them purpose or meaning or guidance. So they use their moralism. They follow the modern religion of moral panic. And they point out, look, there's something evil. There's something dangerous to our society. It might not be something dangerous. It could be just something new, something unexplored. Or it could be something that the media is promoting. They're promoting this idea to scare you and to raise their ratings and to help out their side politically, whatever side that might be. maybe right or left. They're trying to promote viewership. They're trying to promote this social engineering, because that's what censorship is. It's socially engineering. It's removing speech and certain forms of dialogue and then making sure that you don't say those things. If you say them, if you use your freedom, your First Amendment rights, they're saying, well, we are not the government. You are protected. This is the XKCD comic, myopic version of freedom of speech that ignores the philosophical ramifications and looks at it as legalism. Facebook isn't the government. It's just about as large as one in terms of influence and power. Twitter isn't the government. Instagram's not the government. Reddit. All these major, and then they'll go, Chase is deplatforming people or debanking people because of their ideology. They're not the government. They're not the government. It's like, yeah, they're not the government. But the government isn't the entire world. The government isn't the entire situation. They're just one factor that could stand in the way of freedom. And in the United States, they chose to stay out of the way. They chose to stay out of the way. And so it's hard, to explain to people, like, we need to be able to speak. You might be offended, but it's not your right not to be offended. So they'll say, have a heart. You're not thinking about their feelings, about what's going on. You're not empathetic enough. You're not sympathetic enough. And I say, I am. I am as much as I can be. I'm sorry. I'm not going to end my day and end my life and ruin everything else in the world just because you're looking at one specific situation that's morally outraging you. Oh, these kids are listening to too much of that Miley Cyrus, whatever it might be. Oh, they shouldn't be watching PewDiePie. They're watching too much Minecraft on YouTube. Oh, they're looking at YouTube and finding supremacists and neo-Nazis, and they're finding Antifa, and they're getting influence. And I say, look, be a better parent. Okay, and that's the best you can do. Be a better parent to your children. Don't try to turn me or anybody else on the internet into a child. Don't try to parent other people's kids. Like, we do see that there are certain walls that shouldn't be pressed on, they shouldn't be pushed. We shouldn't have unconsented pornography out there. And we should have some, if parents want to have parental controls on their stuff, they can do that. But you can't let this fear and this panic cloud logic and reason. There are plenty of people out there that enjoy these things. Just moral panic. Used to be the satanic panic. And then it was the war on drugs. And then it's, people listening to the wrong music, heavy metal. And then it's watching the wrong TV shows, listening to Howard Stern. You're going to go to hell, they say. You're going to go to hell. It doesn't matter if they have a traditional religion or not. They have this modern religion of moral panic. Even if they're devoutly secular, they can send you right to hell. They can disassociate from you. They can do all these things they need to do to make sure that everybody's okay. Think of the children. Think of the children, they say. Everybody can be okay as long as you do as we say. As long as you can follow the prophets of this modern religion and get in line behind the disciples, If you join in and try to censor and remove and destroy the world of whatever it might be, commerce, try to make it so that people can't make decisions for themselves anymore. You take the individual agency away, and you say it's all because we want to have a more moral world. We're going to cast aside reason and bring in our faith that we are right, that we know what is objectively moral. And so I say that I am agnostic to moral panic. Like, sometimes I see merit in there, sometimes I see reason in there, but oftentimes it is faith over reason when you're dealing with this. You're in a perpetual state of outrage and fear, and if someone tries to bring you down from that, well, I would expect a little bit of turbulence. Turbulence should be expected as attempts are made to descend from the stratosphere. If people are way up here with their moral panic and outrage and fear, and you're trying to bring them down and say, it's okay, we'll get over this. We'll get over Mortal Kombat. We'll get over it. The children will see a little blood. They'll see blood later. Trust me. Do a better job of parenting. Don't buy your child the thing. Don't let them do the thing if you don't want them to do the thing. But don't tell us to stop the rest of society because of people that are, too young or people that can't control themselves. They're not going to destroy our freedoms. You can't try to be that safe, be that about security that you'll throw away liberty. That's my opinion anyway. But I'm agnostic. I am agnostic on this modern religion. Moral panic.